Good morning. I'm Reverend G, minister here at the Unitarian Universalist Community Church. Our physical building is on Shaver Road in Portage, and I'm actually here in the building. I'm delighted that you chose to spend this time with us this morning, and I hope that you will find it inspiring and that you will find it worthy of returning to us. If this is your first time ever joining us via Facebook, welcome, welcome, welcome. You are welcome to check out our website page. It's in the comments, and you shall see how you can join us in other ways throughout the week as well. Betty Lee, thank you. This was Betty Lee's very first time ever being the so-called platform, the lay leader in this Zoom world. And Betty Lee, thank you. You've done a wonderful job. I'm also grateful that we get to support Planned Parenthood, especially today in these precarious days and or times when the need is so great and the opposition so vocal and powerful. So I'm grateful that we get to stand on this side of history. As Betty Lee mentioned, the topic for the month of October that we chose here at the church is wellness, is mental, spiritual, and physical wellness. And I chose this title, Mens Sana in Corpore Sano, which is a Latin saying, and a loose translation would be a healthy mind in healthy body. But I think probably a little bit closer, more accurate translation would be healthy consciousness in a healthy body. And the Romans knew about this, and supposedly they learned it from the Greeks. This saying is credited to Hippocrates, who is the father of Western medicine. And apparently he is the one who originated it, although there's debates about that too. Apparently it originated even before Hippocrates by a certain gentleman named Thales. And either way, it's neither here nor there. It's been around, the saying has been around, this knowing has been around for a long time. Now, Hippocrates believed in observing human beings. So when they were ill, he believed in observing them and finding a treatment and a cure as a result. Now, I just want to tell you, this is, I'm going to digress a little bit, but this is a fun fact that I'm just going to share with you because why not? During his time, the plague broke out in Greece, and they were looking at him for a cure for the plague. So he did what he did best. He observed. And he observed that blacksmiths did not get the plague. For whatever peculiar reason, he just noticed that they were immune to the plague. So this was his approach, which the government embraced. He said, it is fire, it is heat, therefore, that kills the plague. So his recommendation was, or prescription, that every corpse, every body that succumbed to the plague should be burned. But wait, there's more. He also prescribed that every infected person should be burned, which they did do. Now, in contrast, look at today's plague. We have the damn vaccine and how hard it is to convince people to take it. There was a time when infected people were burned. He also prescribed that every household at all times should have a massive fire burning inside So in their stove, in their hearth, fireplace, they should have a massive fire burning, because that's what blacksmiths were around, this massive fire. And funnily enough, soon after his recommendations were implemented, the plague went away. So who knows? People, please get the vaccine. He also believed that there should be a balance for a healthy life. We all should be in balance, and there should be a balance of exercise, a balance of nutrition. And in fact, this is what we said. If we could give every individual the right amount of nourishment and exercise, not too little and not too much, we would have found the safest way to health. And does that hold true today? Well, I think it does. They are conducting studies on mice, and they have found that mice who are giving plentiful nourishment, adequate nourishment, however, they are deprived from other stimulations such as exercise, their brain cells deteriorate. And mice, the control mice who are also giving the same adequate nourishment, and they're also stimulated with physical exercise, their brains keep producing new neurons. So their brains regenerate. And this is also true for human beings. So exercise is very important. Now you're wondering, but I'm old, I'm overweight. It's too late for me. I've lived a life of no exercise. Is there any point of starting it now? Well, science tells us yes. Science tells us actually that even vigorous vacuuming could count as exercise. Now, I just find it that a vigorous walk in nature is just a little bit more fun. I'm not opposed to vacuuming. Those people who know me know that floors are important to me, but a walk I actually enjoy quite a bit. So regardless of our state of physical ability, there is exercise that we can engage in that will help our mental health. It will help our brain health, and that is important. Science is today telling us that if we exercise, even if we are genetically inclined to dementia, we will offset the beginning of the dementia just by exercising. So why not exercise? It's fun. It is supposed to help us mentally as well. Also, Hippocrates, in his True Spirit, said that everything in excess is opposed to nature. So whatever we do, find the balance. So once I read about a certain actor who exercised 8 hours a day, 8 hours a day. And the thought occurred to me that they may be prolonging their lives, and they're definitely spending it exercising. So everything is excess is opposed to nature. Now, where I really get excited is consciousness, our mind, how our minds work and how consciousness works. Edgar Mitchell, he was the 6th man to walk on the moon. And he said that in the spacecraft, he got the window seat. I don't know, maybe somebody didn't, but he did. And as he was in space, in the spacecraft, sometimes the Earth would be visible, sometimes the moon, sometimes the stars. And as he was watching this from his window seat, he had this overwhelming feeling. He had no proof for it, but he had this overwhelming feeling and knowing that every atom in his body is connected to every atom in the entire universe. And he had this sense of complete oneness, awareness of this complete oneness, that we're all entirely, undeniably interconnected. So when he returned to Earth, he had not forgotten his overwhelming experience. And if we look at the sages, and if we look at gurus, and if we look at spiritual people whom we consider that they are transcended, they all speak of this interconnectedness and this awareness of absolute oneness. So when he returned to Earth, he remembered his experience, could not shake it. And he wondered if there could be found some scientific proof for this interconnectedness and this oneness. And he founded the Noetic Institute. How does it go? The Noetic. There you go. There goes my mind. The Noetic Institute for Science. The Noetic Sciences Institute. That's it. Now, noetic means that which you know intuitively. You can't prove it. You don't know where it comes from. And that's what noetic is. And this institute is still around, and they study consciousness, and they study matters of the mind. For instance, they have distributed these random number generators around the world. And these random number generators generate numbers randomly, just like its name suggests. And there's no really pattern to the randomness of these numbers that they generate. And they observed these random number generators during global events, such as maybe the Olympics, the start of the Olympics, 9/11, and other major global events. And they noticed that these random numbers become less random during these times. And they become less random sometime before the event takes place. So they deducted, therefore, that consciousness impacts the randomness of these generated numbers. They do a lot of scientific studies, how telepathy works, and they have concluded that indeed we are interconnected. Marilyn Ferguson, who wrote a book, and she is the mother of New Age theories. This is what she said about thinking. If we continue to believe as we have always believed, we will continue to act as we have always acted. If we continue to act as we have always acted, we will continue to get what we have always gotten. Now, I would like to suggest that today, that's a scary proposition, if it is true. And because we have climate change, this is our new reality. So if we believe the way we have always believed, we will act the way we have always acted. So if we keep acting the way we have always acted, what hope do we have in the face of climate change? What hope do we have to mitigate climate change. Therefore, we must change our beliefs. We must change our thinking. We must change our consciousness. We must change our minds. It is important to change our minds for many reasons. On the one hand, is for individual reasons. I have noticed that the mind is willing to suffer anything. If you have a lot of money, that is the problem. Poverty, my goodness, huge problem. You are single, oh, terrible. You got married, my goodness. No relationship is as difficult as mine. The mind is willing to suffer everything. Therefore, keeping the mind in check is most important because it might just mean the end of suffering. Now, not the end of pain. Pain can be physical. Suffering is of the mind. Pain can still be part of our reality. Suffering is of the mind. So the mind is willing to suffer everything. So on an individual level, it behooves us to keep our minds in check. How do we keep it in check? Well, we have very, very powerful minds, yes? So let's do a very short exercise. Will you please join me in this very short exercise? So please, just close your eyes and imagine something that you will do this afternoon. And please, in 5 seconds, imagine something that you will do this afternoon. All right, welcome back. And congratulations. You've done something absolutely phenomenal, that it is believed that other than human beings, no beings on this planet are capable of. You've just created a reality and you've even seen it. And it's a reality, it's an alternate reality. It does not exist. It's somewhere in the future. And it may look like that, it may not, but in here, you've created this. Our minds are extremely powerful, but also, if they run loose, if they are out of control, they can also be powerfully destructive. So engage me in another exercise, and let's take 10 seconds this time, okay? So please close your eyes. And for 10 seconds, stop all thinking. Think not at all. Welcome back. How did you do? Were you able not to think at all? I lost about 2-3 seconds. Then I start strategizing about how should I go about not thinking anymore. It's a lost battle. So meditation is a practice where we try to rein in the mind. We try to sit in the silence with acceptance, no judgment, and we try to train the mind to quiet and find its own way to consciousness that is informed by the oneness, that is free to recreate itself. A consciousness that allows for another possibility, which I call a miracle. Marilyn Ferguson also said, the mind aware of itself is a pilot vastly freer than a passenger mind. A mind aware of itself is a pilot vastly freer than a passenger mind. Now, Willis Harman was the first president of the Noetic Institute of Science, and this is what he said. Throughout history, the really fundamental changes in societies have come about not from the dictates of government and the results of battles, but through vast numbers of people changing their minds, sometimes only a little bit, sometimes only a little bit. Minds have been changed. Our world is changing constantly. Here I am, a gay person, minister of a church. This couldn't have been possible some decades ago. I either couldn't have been out or I wouldn't have been hired by a church. Minds are changed all the time. In fact, I heard recently that Liz Cheney apologized for oppressing and for being judgmental against gays. She apologized for that. That's a miracle, changing our minds. And sometimes even changing it just a little bit makes a huge difference in the trajectory of our common humanity. Changing the future with changing our minds. So please be aware that changing our minds is possible. It's not just possible, but it is necessary. It is necessary to change our minds in the light of new information or new intuition. And it is not just necessary, it is also expected. Otherwise, our common humanity is in danger. Because we are all interconnected. So I would like to leave you with the words of Willis Harman. This is what he said. Because of the interconnectedness of all minds, affirming a positive vision may be about the most sophisticated action any one of us can take. One more time. Because of the interconnectedness of all minds, affirming a positive vision may be about the most sophisticated action any one of us can take. Here's to us, embracing a positive vision of our collective humanity, a positive vision of our planet, of our universe, and of ourselves. May we be kind, may we be gentle, may we be mindful. And so it is.